I suppose the beginning of this story starts when the cracks in my marriage became impossible to ignore. Looking back, I can pinpoint the moment. It wasn't the late nights or the sudden secrecy with her phone, though those were signs. No, the real turning point came when she began flaunting things that didn't belong in our world. Emma and I had been married for 12 years. We weren't rich, but we lived comfortably. I ran a small contracting business, and Emma worked part-time at a local boutique while caring for our 2 kids. Life wasn't glamorous, but it was ours, or at least I thought so. It started subtly. A new bracelet, gold and studded with tiny diamonds, appeared on her wrist. I asked about it, and she waved me off with a laugh. "A gift from a friend," she said. Then there was a designer handbag, the kind of thing we couldn't afford without dipping into our savings. "Oh, just a little indulgence," she chirped when I questioned it. But the car, that was the final straw. Emma pulled into the driveway in a sleek black BMW one sunny afternoon, grinning like a cat who'd swallowed a canary. Our old minivan sat forlornly to the side, looking as bewildered as I felt. "Whose car is that?" I asked, my stomach churning. "It's mine," she replied breezily, tossing her hair over her shoulder. "A gift from someone who appreciates me." The world seemed to tilt. She didn't even bother to hide it anymore. That's when I knew about him, knew about them, and knew that I wouldn't let this slide. I'm not a violent man, nor am I impulsive, but betrayal, that cuts deep, deeper than I ever imagined it could. I didn't confront her right away. Instead, I started observing, planning. Late at night, I scoured through her phone records, piecing together their conversations. His name was Greg. I'd never met him, but I could picture him. Slick, charming, and just the kind of man who'd lure someone into a fantasy world of shiny cars and glittering jewelry. He wasn't just a fling. He was funding her newfound lifestyle. My blood boiled, but I stayed calm. I had to. A sloppy reaction would only make me look weak. Instead, I began orchestrating my revenge, each piece falling into place like a masterful symphony. The first step was getting their attention. Emma loved gifts. Perfect. I'd send one tailor-made just for them. I reached out to a buddy of mine who'd served overseas and knew how to rig just about anything. I didn't want anything illegal, just something impactful. He helped me build a package that looked innocent but packed a hell of a punch. A little box rig with compressed air canister and powder dye. When open, it would explode in a harmless, albeit dramatic burst of bright red pigment, enough to stain clothes, carpets, and skin for weeks. I wrapped it beautifully. Gold paper, a silk ribbon, the works. A note accompanied the box to Emma and Greg with love. I dropped it off at Greg's office. Yes, I tracked him down and made sure it was marked urgent. Then I waited. The next evening, Emma stormed into the house, her face an angry blotch of red, literally. The dye had soaked into her pores, and she looked like she'd been caught in a paint factory explosion. "What the hell did you do?" she shrieked. I feigned innocence, sipping my beer. "What are you talking about?" "Don't play dumb. The box you sent. It was to Greg." "Greg," I said, arching an eyebrow. "Who's Greg?" Her mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. She had no answer. Instead, she spun on her heel and disappeared into the bathroom, slamming the door. I didn't follow. Let her stew. But that was just the appetizer. The main course took weeks to prepare. I'd been quietly gathering evidence of their affair. Texts, photos, financial transactions. Enough to make a convincing case of infidelity and misuse of marital assets. Then I hired a lawyer and filed for divorce, citing adultery. New York might be a no-fault state, but a well-documented affair could still sway things in my favor when it came to dividing assets. Next, I made a few strategic calls. Greg's wife, oh yes, he had won, deserved to know the truth. I sent her copies of everything I collected. To say she was livid would be an understatement. Turns out Greg had been pulling money from their joint accounts to fund his little escapades with my wife. That revelation set off its own fireworks, and their marriage imploded in spectacular fashion. The final piece of my plan was the public spectacle. Emma and Greg had always been careful to keep their affair under wraps, but I had other ideas. Using a burner phone, I sent an anonymous tip to a local gossip blog. Included were photos of Emma's lavish gifts, Greg's financial records, and a juicy narrative tying it all together. The story went viral. Emma's boutique job quickly evaporated. No one wanted to shop at a store associated with that woman from the scandal. Greg's business suffered too, as clients pulled contract in the wake of his exposed indiscretions. Neither of them could escape the fallout. In the end, the divorce was swift and satisfying. I kept the house, the savings, and primary custody of the kids. Emma, now unemployed and disgraced, moved in with her parents, leaving the BMW behind. Greg, last I heard, he'd moved to another state, trying to rebuild his shattered reputation. As for me, I'm doing just fine. Better than fine, actually. The kids and I have found a new rhythm, one filled with laughter and lightness. There's a certain peace in knowing you've reclaimed your life, even if the path to get there was messy. Do I regret my revenge? Not for a second. Some people will say it was petty or vindictive. Maybe it was. But sometimes justice needs a personal touch, and I made sure they'd never forget mine.